All right, welcome you guys to the fifth week of the challenge call, and we're talking about exercise today. So I'm gonna go through my little spiel real quick. Honestly, probably like 10 minutes, and then answer any questions that you guys have. Because again, this is 100% about you, and I want to make sure you guys get everything that you need. But where I'm coming from is I got into weight training when I was 14 years old because I was a scrawny little guy. And then I started working out a little bit. And then that with puberty and whatnot, I got some arms. And then from there, I got a compliment one time. And then I just kept on doing it for that reason. It was 100% vanity. But I was a super small, scrawny guy. If you go to Port Washington High School, I'm from Port, by the way. Did track and field as like, I'm ironically wearing this shirt, but I was 119 pounds as my freshman year of high school as a wrestler. So also where I learned how to lose weight was through wrestling, which is a very unhealthy way to lose weight. But through football, weight training, and stuff like that, I just liked the weight room because I got stronger over time, and over time I felt more and more confident with that. And I think there's just like easy correlation from like being strong and being like able to go do things that other people can't. That kind of like empowers you a little bit. So that's why I love weight training so much. Okay, from there, got a degree in kinesiology. I minored in strength conditioning. I worked at the collegiate level. I worked with some pro athletes. I worked with non-pro athletes from every kid from 7 to like professional level. And then my actual passion sounds weird. Actually, sounds very weird, but it was moms. Um, the reason is that I would train an athlete or two, and then I would train their mom, and then I'd help their moms get stronger, and then I everybody was just coming to me as like the mom trainer. So that was kind of like my specialty for almost a decade. Um, because same thing, I just love seeing these moms that came in like postpartum, struggling with like back pain, hip pain, shoulder pain. So I would throw in a lot of mobility exercises. I would get their backs nice and strong with like TRX rows or good postural work. And then getting them, back squatting their body weight times two, kind of thing. And then when you can do that, you are just the most empowered, badass mom in the world. So that's where I want everybody to get to, is where you could, deadlift 2 times your body weight, squat 1.5 times, and bench your body weight. I think that's just the coolest number in the world. And those numbers are 100% made up. They're not like standards. But that's kind of where I'm coming from. So I got my CSCS, which is a Certified Strength Conditioning Specialist, from the NSCA, which is National Strength Conditioning Association, which means I took a test one time and I passed. And then I went to meetings in Chicago every once in a while to make sure I could keep those credentials. Um, so if you guys, from what I guess what I'm trying to say is like this is coming from my perspective, what I think everybody should do after working with a handful of people, and I think people that really wanted to be healthy long term. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go through this. Does anybody have any other questions about that or where I came from so far? No? Okay, cool. All right, we're going to go right into this. So can you guys see the quick start guide exercise? Can you unmute yourself and tell me? Someone,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yes.
The chat kind of like disappears for me when I share my screen. And then let's just go into like the whole present thing. Perfect. Awesome. So exercise, perfect. Something about Cam. Um, Basically, I really believe that everybody should exercise just to live your best life for the long haul. It doesn't have to look the way traditionally you would have to look at it. Like you're not don't have to go to the gym to exercise anymore. You don't have to, I don't know, go to classes or I don't know. When if you guys want to mute, like what when I say like go exercise, what do you guys think of? Like what comes to your mind first? Anyone?
I used to go to a bar and Pilates class before I moved back to Wisconsin, and like it was great. It was just 2 nights a week put on by a girl I used to work with, and then the pelvic floor physical therapist in town, and the entire physical therapy department would come because the hospital paid for it. Um, and like that was like my favorite class because it was like a hit workout, but it wasn't like cross training, but it was like a cross training type gym.
Okay.
Um, and if I could find something like that around the Ozaki County, Wisconsin area that didn't cost $600 a month, where it was like those classes were $30 a month. So that was reasonable. And there's one in Port that just opened up similar, but they want like $300 a month for their classes, and I can't
Yeah,
afford that.
it's expensive. What about everybody else? What, when I say exercise, what do you guys think of? What comes to your head?
I know that for me personally, for me to be consistent with what I call exercise, I have to go to a group fitness class,
Okay.
or else I'll talk myself out of going because I don't feel comfortable using machines by myself, that kind of thing. So I love to do any type of group fitness.
Got it. Anyone else? Okay. Perfect. So, I if naturally, Kathy, I'm going to challenge you instantly. So that's kind of what I do every day in and day out. So you said you're not comfortable doing anything. I'm not comfortable going into a ballet class. I'm not comfortable, I don't know, going and like preparing a huge meal for a bunch of people or like going to become a chef because I haven't done it a lot. So challenge yourself, go in there and like the best investment that you can ever make is hiring a personal trainer to introduce you to the gym and how to exercise in it. I really think that is like worth it, worth so much. So like, because right now, if you feel like you can only do group exercise, and that's the only way that you are going to exercise, you're going to tell yourself that story till the day you die, and you might be holding yourself back because you're not going to step out past that. Um, so you're just not comfortable with it because you haven't done it yet, which is totally fair. So if you like go find like a girlfriend too, go work out with them, or hire a trainer or go to a gym, try it because you might actually like learn to love it. Like I love the way that I feel when I work out. And that's where I want you to always get to too. It's a squat rack in the basement. Perfect. But yeah, that's always like my biggest challenge is like go try something new. Because I think that's another really cool thing about exercise is that when you're in really good shape or you can do different things and you have general good athleticism and good muscle strength, you can go try things like hiking or going and doing things that you never thought you could do, kayaking and whatnot, carrying and different stuff. And I think that's where I always want my exercise to get me to is my North Star, my end goal is so I can go golfing with my grandkids when I'm 90 years old. So that comes from a very, I don't know if I've ever told you guys my story. Every decision that I make goes back to that North Star, every major decision. So like I need to have a good relationship with my kids. My kids have to like want to get married. So I have to show them what a healthy marriage looks like. So I have to love my wife. I need to stay with my wife. So I have to treat her very good because if I don't treat her very good and she leaves me, then probably won't have a great relationship with my boys. So like it's not just health and nutrition. Like I need to be able to golf when I'm 90. That's like 1/10 of the equation for me to get to where I want to be, where I can enjoy time outside with my kids and then my grandkids. Um, Big picture stuff. But if I wanted to reverse engineer that for exercise wise, I need to be mobile, I need to be strong, and I need to be able to, I guess, be flexible too. So that's how I break this down. These are my 3 focal points of exercise. This is a very hard concept to go by based off of my experience in the gym. So what I say by that is I think that every exercise, you should be challenging your strength. You should be working on your mobility so you can move better and feel better. And you should have some form of cardio. Now, the hard part is your body will adapt to whatever stimulus you send that's loudest. So if you send a signal to your body that's primarily get stronger, you will get stronger, you'll build muscle, you'll feel better like that. If you go to the opposite side of the spectrum of cardio and your loud signal is cardio, you will not build muscle, you will not get stronger, but you will be way more efficient with your heart rate and your lungs. Now, what does almost every class try to do? They try to blend all of them. And when you blend all of them, you kind of stay stuck in the middle, spinning your wheels, and you're going to see initial success probably. Like when a lot of people, and I guess I'm coming from a context of I taught like a boot camp for a long time, and people who would join would have like a lot of success in the first like 3 to 4 months, and then they would plateau. And then they could plateau and sit in this class for like 5, 6 years. I literally saw the same people having the same conversations 5, 6 years later, like, oh yeah, I'd like to lose 20 pounds still. I'd like to still lose 30 pounds. Yeah, like I just need to, clean up my diet a little bit and I'll lose this weight. And one of my favorite examples in the world, and I feel terrible because I sold her on my boot camp. And she joined me And then she had a lot of other complications and things happened in her life. But ultimately, she joined me, and I can't remember what she weighed when she joined, but she worked her way up to about 173 pounds. And then after, like, oh my gosh, then I started working with her nutrition wise on, oh my gosh, I think June of 2023. And now she's like 70 pounds lighter. 70. I think she was started like 179. I think she's like 125, so like 50 pounds lighter. But she came in and knew me from boot camp style training and working hard and sweating. And this lady worked her ass off all the time. We had her step away from that, introduce weight training and flexibility and other stuff like that, and then worked on her macros and her nutrition. And she is down 50 pounds and stronger than ever. Now she goes back to the boot camp and she's better at it. She has fun with it because her friends are all there and she likes it. And she doesn't have the weight loss goal looming over her anymore. Which is just interesting because she was sending the cardio signal for the past 5-6 years and not enough of the strength signal for her body to actually get stronger. So we built up a really strong base of strength. Now she's amazing. That's why I'm also super biased towards it too. So when we go into this strength, we're trying to build muscle. The reason we want to build muscle is because that's the most functional tissue. Muscle is super healthy for insulin sensitivity. It's super important for, oh my gosh, I can't even explain to you how important muscle is. Everyone, can you just raise your hand? Do you agree that you should keep as much muscle as you possibly can? Okay. That's one of my biggest fears is like with people taking like the semaglutide right now is that the studies have come back where they are losing such large amounts of weight, and I'm like 70 to 80% of the weight that they lose is muscle. So when people come off it, they gain weight back and then some because they don't have the metabolic capacity anymore because they have less muscle mass. Laura, do you have a question, or are you just raising your hand with people? Sorry.
Sorry, I was delayed.
Do you agree with me? Or do you have a question?
No question. I'm
Okay.
listening.
Perfect. So that's always my biggest concern. Things that are also muscle sparing. If you are doing more cardio-based workouts, hitting a protein goal and eating enough carbs, both of those things are going to spare your muscle tissue. So you want to keep as much muscle tissue as possible. So hopefully during your time, like Alicia, you mentioned you lost 12 pounds. Hopefully of the 12 pounds you lost, 10 pounds of it was fat. But then we're going to be on a really solid spot. We don't want to get to that 50-50 because that lowers your BMR. Your BMR is based off your age, weight, and your height kind of thing. But everybody's is individualized because, you know, you have your own body composition. How much of you is muscle? How much of you is fat? And muscle burns calories. Fat doesn't. So if you have if you're a more dense body, you're burning more calories. If you have more muscle tissue, you're burning more calories. The reason that I'm not 300 pounds, especially in 2020 when I gained all my weight, I only gained 30 pounds. I probably would have gained 100 because I was drinking a lot. That's what we did in Wisconsin when things shut down. Like literally just drinking a lot, beer, and then pizza, and like trying to support I was supporting every restaurant in Ozaukee County. I was ordering food from everywhere. To be honest with you, I was not controlling my diet and nutrition, but I gained a lot of weight. And because I had the muscle tissue that I had and I would still exercise, I only gained 30 pounds over that year and a half. Not 100. So I'm a huge advocate for being as strong as you can, having as much muscle tissue. Also, I don't like the theory of being like tightly bound or miserable. And I think I don't care if you're super strong or if you're super weak, you need to be mobile. You need to have mobility because like I moved to a chair and started doing like more desk work than ever before. I used to teach like 3 or 4 classes a day. I did mobility with all my clients every day. So I went from doing mobility sessions like with myself through demonstration for 8 hours a day to like 0. And when that happened, my shoulders started to creep forward. My neck started getting more tighter. I had this anterior, like kind of like some shoulder issues that I've never had before. I had upper back issues that I've never had before. So I had to go back into my mobility. And now because I am proactive and I do like mobility drills probably 3-4 times a day, which I'm going to give you guys this, and it has 5 mobility flows that I do. They're a little short little YouTube videos that you guys can always do on your own too. But mobility isn't just being flexible. Mobility is being able to have strength through full ranges of motion. So when you guys put yourself in maybe a compromised position, like putting something above your head, you have the strength to lift it, but you have the shoulder mobility where nothing like dislocates or gets hurt or strains. So mobility is super important. And then cardio is just important because you have a heart and you have lungs. They need to be able to function. Can we just agree on that? Like you should have functioning heart and lungs at a high capacity so you don't get winded going up and down stairs. That's like the beautiful thing for me when I do strength training. I naturally build up my cardio. So I'm going to show you guys some protocols that I go, basically how I make a program, and then yeah, and then give this to you guys and answer your questions. Basically, there's 7 movements that you can do in a strength training workout. It's a push, pull, a squat, a hinge, rotation, or anti-rotation. That's what I have. 5 and 6 would be rotation or anti-rotation. Heavy carry, which is carrying heavy stuff, different ways, different distances. And then the last one I always call this groundwork. That's kind of like the mobility stuff. So for strength, we have push, pull, squat, hinge, rotation, heavy carry. So if you guys made a total body workout, I'd have each of those movements in there. A push, anytime your hands start at your body, work away. A pull, anytime your hands start away from your body and work in. That's one of your back exercises. A squat variation, which is either a front squat, back squat, hack squat, leg press, step up. Lunge would be a single side squat. Hinge would be a hip dominant movement. Lower body, deadlifts, kettlebell swings, single leg RDLs, glute bridges, stuff like that. Rotation and anti-rotation, like an anti-rotation is like a plank where you're not trying to rotate at all, holding a plank. A rotation would be like a cable chop or something like that, or throwing a medicine ball or something like that. And like I said, heavy carry could be a suitcase carry, it could be overhead carry, front rack carry, different things like that. Basically, whenever I would program, I would always do a 2-to-1 pull to push ratio. So for every 1 push I had, I'd have 2 pulls. Reason being, we're in front of our body all the time. We're on our phones, we're on our laptops, we're on our computers. We're, carrying our children. We're in front of us. So we have this forward posture. So I always wanted my clients to have a 2-for-1. So we do, for every 1 bench press, we do 2 different rows. Okay. And again, I really am trying to not confuse the shit out of you guys because there's so much going into programming. And that's why I just value high quality programs more than anything. And then I also love individualism. So like, taking a program and then putting it specific for what you want. But this is how you would ensure working out a total body. You could do this in 1 workout. You could split it between 2 workouts. You could split it between 3 workouts, 4 workouts, 5 workouts. So whatever your schedule is and whatever you like, right? So if you ever have heard of like the bro split, it's like an upper lower workout. Personally, I like total body pairing pushes with squatting and then pulls with hinging and then rotation on each of them, heavy carries on each of them as my warm up. So like there's a million ways to like make this work. If you want to get into that, find some very good programs, do them for a while, and then take what you like on your own. But I would just keep doing really good programs. And again, for me, I haven't programmed for myself in 7 or 8 years now. I do other people's programming now because if I program it and it says Bulgarian split squats on there, I'm probably gonna be like, oh, I'll just do a single leg press instead because I don't feel like doing Bulgarian split squats today. If someone else programs it, I'm like, shit, I got to do the Bulgarian split squats because someone else knows how good they are for me. So it's a weird mental thing, but I don't even program for myself anymore. I follow other programs. And actually, I'm following a program in the app right now, which is like the intermediate strength building and fat burning workout. So I'm liking it so far. It's challenging. Yes. You guys can go through this more on your own if you would like. Mobility, like I said, if you have chronic pain, mobility issues is where you're going to want to go to. Mobility training is where you're going to want to go to. I like doing short, like 2 to 3 minute mobility sessions multiple times a day. I think that's where you get the most bang for your buck rather than going to like 1 yoga class a week. Or a lot of people do like yoga or mobility like once a week and like have a focus where they're using like foam rollers and they're doing mobility training and they're like doing a million different movements. I would rather see you do those movements over the course of the week many, many times. I always feel like your body adapts to it better. I don't know, just my personal experience. These are the different mobility flows, even one you can do from your office chair. Ooh. Cardio. Cardio is pretty simple. Oh, by the way, all this stuff is actually taken from my experience paired with Dr. Peter Attia. I don't know, does anybody know who Peter Attia is? He's an interesting dude. He's basically an oncologist that wanted to stop treating people for oncology, and he wanted to fix the problems before they got there. So he kind of developed this training style. So most of this stuff is coming from his book. So he talks about low intensity, steady state, LIST cardio, less than 65% of your max heart rate for 20 to 60 minutes every day. So it's like going for your 20-minute walk. Like, don't overthink it. It's just going for a kind of like a higher pace of walk. High intensity interval training, max heart rate for 7 to 12 seconds, then a full recovery where your heart rate is lower than 65. So this is where a lot of high intensity interval training gets messed up, is you turn HIIT, HIIT training, into HRIT, which is high resistance interval training. So HRIT is not as beneficial as HIIT training, but that's what like boot camps are, where you're training in this like high zone for a very long time. HIIT training is where you max out your heart rate, you push as hard as you physically possibly can, and then you have full recovery after. So that would be like me going, there's this staircase by where I live, where it's like 200 steps. It's like me sprinting up those stairs as fast as I physically possibly can, or doing like a hill sprint or something like that, or a hill sprint pulling a sled, or like those assault bikes, going as hard as I possibly can until I can no longer hold on to my maximum output. And then the second you start to drop, you shut it down. So your goal is to burn through your phosphocreatine energy system and then your glycolytic energy system, and then you go back to recover. Okay, so it's just working that energy system. Has anyone ever done a Tabata? So Tabata is 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off for 8 rounds, which is 4 minutes total. So a Tabata was a HIIT, a HIIT training interval sequence. That was like, it was a research that was done by Dr. Tabata, actually, in Japan, I believe. And nobody could actually complete it the way that it was intended, because they could no longer reproduce that high intensity, which they started with. They could get through 2 or 3 or 4 rounds at the most. And then the last 4 rounds were basically like the HRIT. Okay. So to get the benefits of the HIIT training, these people were working at like above like 110% of their VO2 max, which is miserable. They're like basically coughing up blood, I feel, at that point. So when you're doing your HIIT training and you're talking to your friend right next to you, that's not HIIT training. That's HRIT, which is really not a great strategy for most women, especially if you're perimenopausal or menopausal or just stressed, because your body sees that as a long sustained duration of stress, which is a long drip of cortisol. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of it. That's why if you do HIIT training, only doing it twice a week, and doing HIIT training. If you're doing HRIT, maybe once a week. Basically, if you're doing it like that to the highest level of your ability, you're probably going to get injured at some point if you're doing it multiple times a week. That's just, again, what I've seen and then what I've read. Does anybody have any questions on that? That is kind of like confusing, because that's what everybody talks about. Perfect. My biggest thing is you should only work as hard as you can recover from. Who's ever said that wasn't even a good workout? I wasn't even sore from your workout. Or a workout, not your workout. That's what they said to me. I wasn't even that sore. Or like, you're not like exhausted or super sweaty, and it wasn't like a worthwhile workout. Have you guys ever had that thought? So that's like I think if you're super sore from a workout, that means you overtrain. That means you worked out harder than your body could adapt to. What you want to search for is the minimal effective dosage for the maximum amount of change. Because anything past that is just going to take your body longer to recover from, and then you're not able to build on top of that because your body's in recovery. You can't be building and like breaking down at the same time. Does that make sense? So like, if you are super sore, then that was too much. You could just lessen the volume and work your way up to that, and you could actually see more progress quicker by not pushing super hard, which again is a very weird concept. but don't judge a workout by how exhausted you are or how sore you get the next day. Especially if you're hitting your macros and you're like drinking enough water and you're sleeping, you can recover from a harder workout. So if like you shouldn't even be focused on how hard your workout is, you should be focused on those other levels. Basically when if I would prescribe like a week of training for somebody, it would be 2 to 3 days of strength training, 1 to 2 days of HIIT training, daily like low intensity steady state cardio, and daily mobility. And that would be a very simple laid out structure. I like having the step goal. Oh yeah. Don't justify your workouts by calorie burn either. Has anyone ever had like a MyZone belt or anything like that? Or like I think Orange Theory does like splat points, right? So how many, yeah, Alicia, we were talking about that. Is it Alicia or Alicia?
It's Alicia.
Alicia, when you first started Orange Theory, how many splat points could you get per workout?
Oh, I'd get like 30 because I'd be
And
down.
how many do you get now?
Sometimes I don't even break the 12.
Yeah, because your body adapted to its job. It's very good at it now.
Yeah, it's
So-
been 5 years, so.
Yeah, it should be damn good at it by now. But so another thing to note too is like if our goal is like weight loss overall and fat loss for this, we can't be focusing on like always having cardio as your number one source for fat loss because our body adapts so fast. So like if I went for a run today and say that like a mile run took me 10 minutes. During that 10 minutes of moving, I might burn, I don't know, let's just keep it very simple, 100 calories. If I did that same run 2 days later, I might be able to do it more efficiently because I've already done it. I'm a little stronger, I'm better at it, and I only burn 98 calories. I do that consistently for a month. Now I can get away with doing that same 10-minute run, 1 mile, and burning 50 calories. Your body just gets efficient. All right, so then you can do it faster, right? Okay, so now I'm running at a faster pace. You'd think I'm burning more calories, but your body's actually more efficient. It's getting stronger. My tendons and ligaments don't have as much wasted energy. Same thing with like bench press. You get stronger with bench press, not because you're getting stronger in your chest and your shoulders. You're getting better at that motor program that you're developing. So there's so many things to go into it. But what I'm saying is like how you get better at cardio then is you go faster and then you go further. And then so eventually you're going to get to a place where you have to be running more and more often. You have to go further. You got to go faster. You have to have these different focuses if you're focused on calories. If you're focused on being the best runner you can be, that's awesome. You're going to be the best runner. If you're focused on body composition and performance are two different things, and you should not try to mix them. Because if I'm going like, I used to say this to myself all the time. Oh yeah, if I'm running all the time, if I'm training for like, I train for like triathlons every once in a while, I should just naturally get leaner. I did a half marathon training. I should lose like 10 pounds because I'm doing so much more cardio. And every time I did it, I did before and after pictures and I always got fatter. And I'm not going to like speculate on why I got fatter or anything, but I was way better at running when I ended it and I started it. Like I did my first half marathon in under 2 hours. I don't know if that's normal or not, but I was very confident with that. And, but my body weight went down like a little bit, but my pictures, my abs went away. I'm like, what the fuck? This kind of sucks. I'm like less lean, even though I'm better at cardio. So my personal experience for me, I'll never do cardio for that body composition change, but I will do cardio because I need to keep up with a 4-year-old. My 4-year-old gets into cross country, we're going to be running buddies. So like, again, that's the same reason that I want to have like good shape for everything is basically whatever my kids want to do, all I got to do. But here's like an example workout for beginners. How I have it set up here, basically Monday would be a strength training day. Here's a general strength training workout, total body, like I showed you guys, set reps and ranges. Tuesday, 20-minute walk, mobility, yoga, flexibility, something you enjoy like that. Wednesday, cardio day, get uncomfortable for a short period of time, use the stairs, do this 3 to 5 times. And then the total workout, this is your HIIT training, should last less than 20 to 30 minutes with full recovery in between. Thursday, a 10-minute walk, strength training day. So I throw a 10-minute walk in there to loosen up because if you haven't done this before, you might get a little tighter. So to warm up a little bit more for strength training, same thing, total body workout. Friday, 10-minute walk and recovery day. Anything that feels sore from Monday, focus on it for your mobility. And then Saturday, something you enjoy with people you love. It's my favorite thing. Go for a hike, go outside, go for a run, go do something that's active. I like to golf. Actually, did you know that in 18 holes walking, you burn more calories than any other sport? Do you know why that is, though? It's stupid. Everybody's like, oh, golfing, you burn so much. It's because it's 5.5 hours long to walk some places. And just walking and carrying shit is going to burn more calories if you're alive carrying something for 5 hours. So if you're measuring your total calorie burn over 5 hours, like no shit, it's more than anything that you could do in an hour. Sorry. I always get like full research. Everybody's got to dive in. And then Sunday, more fun, recovery. You have any questions, you can always Google the ones from above. And then a more advanced one, this would be a 3-day-a-week strength training program. Basically, Monday, Thursday would be your total body workouts. Wednesday's your hit. And then I think I have a little extra cardio in there. This on here is a 15-minute everyday workout. So if you want to work out every day and only make it last 15 to 20 minutes, I made that from somebody. So if you guys want that, it's there. And then that is that. So I always ruffle some feathers when I talk about this. So I see you guys have some stuff in the chat. Chat 2-year-old patients. Tracy, what are you still here, Tracy? Yeah. What classes did you get injured in?
The fake hit classes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I know. When I taught them, I was a really good trainer where I had a lot of fun for the first 2 or 3 years because I didn't think that I'd have so many injuries. And then by the end, I was like the most boring. Like, hey, we're not doing anything that's not like beneficial. So instead of like, I used to do fun stuff all the time, but people be like spraining their ankles, like doing like rope slams and burpees and different stuff. I hate burpees now because I've never seen so many people get hurt from one stupid movement. So I never program it. Like if you like burpees, I think that's awesome. I think it's really cool to be able to get on and off the ground. But like I had it for a cardio test one time and like people started getting hurt and like they have like wrist injuries from getting down and up all the time. I'm like, well, this sucks. I don't want to do this. So like I used to do box jumps all the time too, until he like, hey, no 60-year-old needs to be able to do a box jump anymore. And then like I had people tearing in my career, my younger career, I had 2 people that tore their Achilles. One was doing skipping. Actually, one was skipping with like resistance, like being held back. So they're doing like their heavy carry. They're skipping with a resistance band. And then the other one was doing kickboxing and pushed off their back foot. So one was like a freak, but one was like, we shouldn't have been doing that. Anywho, yeah, I've never seen as like I've seen more injuries in that kind of stuff than anything before. Awesome. And you like Tabatas?
Yeah.
Yeah, challenge yourself. Go hard. You guys have any other questions as far as like the exercise component? Question marks, what you should be doing, what you're doing right now? Cool. All right. Well, I'll give you guys all your time back. One thing that I kind of touched on, we call it the triangle of awareness. So what that is like, say you have a triangle. Have you guys ever heard of this triangle of awareness? Okay. So like if you have a triangle, I'm not good at using like the whiteboard. I feel like there's a whiteboard in here, isn't there? Screw it, I'll just talk. So say you have a triangle of awareness. So the triangle at the very top of the triangle would be like performance. And then at the bottom right, you would have aesthetics, how lean you can possibly get. And on the bottom left, you're going to have longevity, how healthy you are, your blood markers. And when you go to the extremes to any of those spots, you are as far away from as possible from the other two. So if you're at your peak performance, your aesthetics not going to be number one, and your blood markers are not going to be the best ever. When you go to straight aesthetics, your performance is not going to be the best, and your blood markers are not going to be the best. Does that make sense? It's like if you talk about like extreme aesthetics, looking as lean as humanly possible, think about bodybuilders. Well, when bodybuilders are on the stage, their performance is not as good as it normally is. They're not as strong as they normally are. They're not feeling as good as they normally are. They're just not. And then their blood work is definitely not in the healthiest spot it's ever been. If you go to longevity, it's actually healthier to carry a little extra body fat on your body. Did you guys know that? You should carry a little extra body fat on your body. To have like the healthiest blood markers is not to be the leanest, and you're not going to be pushing yourself to the extreme. Because did you know after a really hard cardio workout, your blood work, it looks like shit. Like if you got your blood work done right after like a really hard workout session, you're gonna have cases in there. If you like, you'd give it to a doctor, like this person's gonna die soon, because like you have. I'm not even gonna go into like the different levels of different things, but it's not healthy. Put it that way. So if you are the best at your sport, perform at that high level, you're not going to be in that longevity style phase. So what I always encourage people is when they're on their health journey, first they have to go to that longevity side. They got to get as healthy as humanly possible. They got to feel as good as humanly possible. I'm not saying to add body fat or anything like that. Some people might, but you might have to add body fat to lose more in the future. But you should know what it feels like to be having your goals going towards being as healthy as humanly possible. And that bottom side of that triangle, that looks like the like 2 to 3 times a week of strength training with like the cardio, the low intensity steady state cardio walks, mobility training, maybe some yoga, maybe some meditation practice in there. Maybe some long walks on a beach every once in a while, that kind of thing. And then when you go towards performance, the programming just looks different. So if you think performance for like my performance training program for when I had to do my half marathon looked very different than my performance-based training when I wanted to do my golf specific exercises. They're just different. So making sure that your workouts align with your goals is always really huge. And then if you do want to get to that aesthetic side of things, that plan looks very different than performance. I think a lot of things kind of confuse people with like CrossFit, because CrossFit people are very lean, so they're very aesthetically driven. So that's like a combination of the two. But their blood markers might not be the healthiest, or the person that's podiuming isn't necessarily taking first because they're the leanest either. They're the best of their sport. Does that make sense? Or am I going crazy now? So I guess the first thing that I would want you guys to do is really try to hone in on what part of the triangle you want to go towards first. If you know that, then that makes your journey super easy. So if my goal was like aesthetics long term, I would never seek aesthetics. And when I say aesthetics, I just mean getting in as lean and tone as possible. Okay, sorry I'm a weird term guy. But if I was going for aesthetics, I would have to spend a lot of time at that longevity side first to get your body ready to lose that amount of body weight or body fat. Does that make sense? So exercise wise, what are you guys doing? What questions do you have? Anything? Was this helpful at all? Awesome. I'm going to stop recording so no one else gets this good stuff afterwards.
I do have a question.